As two players look set to leave Spurs, we ready ourselves for the set-piece barrage that comes from playing Sean Dyche's one-dimensional Everton side this weekend. I'll give you my full match preview in this episode. Meanwhile, in transfer news, Ben Chilwell is offered by joke club Chelsea to the Premier League elite, and their treble-winning captain returns from Barcelona to Manchester City. All this and more in today's episode of Daily Premier League Transfer News with me, Barnaby Slater. Guys, thank you so much for watching and listening. Please do press that like button. Please do subscribe if you're not already a subscriber for daily transfer news during the window and all of Tottenham Hotspur's news as well. And if you'd like to become a member, only £1 a month. All the details are in the description box below. But let's get started with some transfer news. Not a lot about for Spurs at the moment as the matches come thick and fast, but Giovanni Lo Celso has added another club to those interested in securing his services. Al Qadsiya are interested in taking him. That's only if Paulo Dybala decides to reject their advances. Aston Villa and Fenerbahce also interested in Lo Celso. I think Lo Celso's sale is key to whether Spurs will get another midfielder in this summer. I think it will happen, but maybe not soon, as Spurs haggle for around £13 million, £13 to £15 million that they want to get for him. And then the second bit of news outgoing wise for Spurs, Jude Soonsup-Bell is leaving Tottenham's academy to join Spanish side Cordoba. That is a permanent deal, no transfer fee, but Tottenham will get 40% of any future sale if Soonsup-Bell succeeds in Spain and gets a better move. So let's now get into the Tottenham versus Everton pre-match preview. We play Saturday, 3 p.m. at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, our first game at home this year. And for any of you who are watching who are going to go to the game, I just urge you to properly get behind the boys. We've got a young squad now, a young team. We've got a lot of players coming in who really need full support. And all I'm going to say is, I've been a season ticket holder at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium for a number of years, and it can get a little bit, what's the right word? A little bit kind of just bitey if things aren't going well. And particularly when we play the football out of the back, and maybe some of the young players might make some mistakes. I mean, as an example, Lucas Bergvall, when he came on the other night, when he made that mistake losing the ball on the left in the 89th minute against Leicester, sure, we don't want that to happen, but try and remember that is what Ange Postecoglou is asking from all of his players. So if any of the team do make some mistakes like that, don't get on their back, don't groan, just stay with it and be patient. I know that Tottenham fans, we've got big expectations. We want it to be perfect. But I don't think this game against Everton, despite them losing on the opening day 3-0 against Brighton at home, I don't think it will be easy. I think Dyche will bring a team tight and narrow to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and will try and hit us hard with set pieces. I will go into last season's games against Dyche's Everton and you will see what I mean. Ashley Young was sent off for a professional foul, denying a goal-scoring opportunity for Everton against Brighton, so he will miss the game. Some notable stats. Everton have not won a game away from home in the entirety of 2024. Their record stands away from Goodison Park, lost 7 and drawn 4 on the road. How does that make you feel as a Spurs fan? Does it make you feel like that means we're going to turn them over? It should be relatively comfortable because they will have a lack of confidence not only from having lost their opening game at home to Brighton, but also from knowing they haven't won an away game for so long. Or does it make you think jinx thoughts? Does it make you think that Tottenham are the team who are likely to let Everton win their first game of the calendar year? Is it a similar thought to maybe you had like I did at the weekend when all of the teams in the kind of top 5 or 6 from last season won their games on the opening day of the season, and then it got left to Spurs on the Monday Night Football to not get 3 points away at Leicester. Another bit of stat regarding Everton: they have not beaten Tottenham in their last 7 attempts. Once again, is that a positive? Will that weigh on Everton's mind, or is it something that Sean Dyche will get into their heads to try and turn us over? The overall history of Tottenham versus Everton stands at Tottenham 62 wins, Everton 47 wins, and 52 draws. I have to say, those stats have really been heightened over the last, I'd say, 10 or 15 years by Spurs, because before that, I think Everton will probably have had a much better record against Spurs than they currently do. Certainly in the 80s, where Everton were winning titles, and in the early 90s, mid-90s as well, where Spurs weren't very good. I think I remember Everton turning us over very regularly. In terms of the last 8 results Tottenham have had against Everton at home, so that's at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and before that at White Hart Lane, 2-1 win, 2-0 win, the 5-0 win. I was at that game. That's where Dele Alli came back, having signed for Everton, got an amazing reaction from the Spurs fans. 1-0 defeat. That was on the opening day of the season, if you remember. If I'm right, that was Jose Mourinho's opening day of the season. Loss at home to Everton. Then a 1-0 win, a 2-2 draw, a 4-0 win, and a 3-2 win. So basically, 6 wins, 1 draw, and 1 defeat from the last 8 results at home against Everton. So on that historical basis, you'd think that Tottenham should win this game. But like I said, I do not envisage it being simple, and I'll go into that a little bit more in a second. In terms of team news, Bentancur expected to be out. Obviously, I'm recording this about 11:30 on Thursday. Haven't had Big Ange's team news, but I'm going on what I would expect to happen, which will be Bentancur being out because of concussion protocols after that nasty challenge he suffered against Leicester on Monday night. Fraser Forster definitely out, and Pedro Porro doubtful. My suggestion is that Porro will not start. It looked like a dodgy roll of the ankle. There are some photos of him in the dressing room at the King Power Stadium after the game where he was putting full weight on it. So that shows that, you never know. But my guess is that Tottenham and Big Ange won't want to take a risk on such an important player this early in the season. In terms of Everton's team news, Nathan Patterson, Jared Branthwaite and Chamiti all out. James Garner and Seamus Coleman doubtful. That is a little bit of a defensive crisis for Everton. Jared Branthwaite really seen as pretty much their best player these days. Manchester United were big time in for him this summer, as any of you who've been watching my transfer videos will have seen. So a little bit of a defensive crisis, but Sean Dyche revels in back-to-the-wall situations, and I think he'll find a way to try and use that kind of them being so far from being expected to get a result in this game. He'll use that to fire his team up. My predicted teams are as follows, starting with Spurs. Vicario in goal. I think Jed Spence will come in at right back for Pedro Porro if indeed he is ruled out from that ankle injury he sustained against Leicester. There is a thought, and I'd like to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments. There is a thought and a possibility that maybe Archie Gray could come in instead of Pedro Porro ahead of Jed Spence to play right back. He played right back all last season for Leeds. We've seen him there a little bit for Spurs. He's got lovely, tight, quick feet, beautiful on the ball. I wouldn't have a problem with Archie Gray coming in for this game. We've spent a lot of money on him. He's only 18 years old, but he should be ready. However, Jed Spence's redemption arc has really kind of been an important factor of this pre-season. I think Big Ange has said to Jed Spence, if you show me the right attitude, then you will have a place in this squad. And I think it's a little bit of a dangerous possibility that if Big Ange Postecoglou were to pick Archie Gray in front of Jed Spence instead of Pedro Porro, then Jed Spence may well turn round realistically, certainly in his own head, and say, well, where is my place in this squad? So I'm third choice pecking order-wise at right back, and a central midfielder who's only 18 has come in ahead of me. That's not to say that I don't think that could or should happen. I will trust whatever Ange Postecoglou decides, but with Jed Spence's previous issues with his attitude and starting to turn up late and stuff when he's not getting picked, I do think that maybe if Big Ange really believes in Jed Spence's redemption and thinks that he has improved his attitude and he has impressed in pre-season, then maybe he should be the first cab off the rank instead of Pedro Porro. But let me know what you think. Who should start if Pedro Porro isn't fit? Destiny Udogie, I think, will start again at left back. He dropped off in the second half against Leicester, but I thought was excellent in the first half. Christian Romero and Mickey van der Ven at centre half, of course. Then the other issue, Bentancur out. I thought Bentancur looked pretty decent in the first half, although I have listened to some Spurs podcasts this week who say that basically he was put under no pressure and played too many sideways and backwards passes. But I also remember him fizzing in some beautiful passes in between the lines into the forward line. But he is, of course, ruled out because of concussion protocols. So I expect Yves Bissouma to come straight back in. However, again, let me know in the comments what you think. Should Yves Bissouma come straight back in after he was suspended for one game for, of course, inhaling nitrous oxide and putting that on his Snapchat account? Big Ange Postecoglou has said about Bissouma that he needs to regain the trust of not only him, but also the team. So is there something to say that to put him straight back in after just a one-game ban because there's an injury to Bentancur would be almost not giving him enough punishment? I personally think he will come straight back in, but again, Archie Gray is an option. If he doesn't pick him, if Big Ange doesn't pick him as right back to replace Porro, he is an option, of course, to come in instead of Bissouma. What would you do? Let me know in the comments and we'll have a little chat about it. My instinct is Bissouma will come straight back in. I thought he looked pretty decent in pre-season. And let's face it, Rodrigo Bentancur was not suspended for a game despite the fact that he had to apologise during pre-season for a very ill thought out racist joke at Heung-min Son and all East Asian people's expense. Therefore, I'm not sure that Ange can go kind of full metal jacket in terms of continuing to punish Yves Bissouma for his mistake. So my expectation is that Bissouma will come in, but let me know what you think. I think Pat Matar Sarr will start alongside him. However, I don't think Sarr had a great pre-season, and I don't think he started very well at all at Leicester, but I think he will continue with Sarr in the midfield because Everton will try and hit us on the break and we will need legs back and forward. And I think from everything I've read and heard in the preseason, although Lucas Bergwall has impressed everybody, I don't expect him to start the game because I don't think Ange Postecoglou thinks he's quite fit enough yet to play kind of 65, 70 minutes that he wants the starters to. I then think James Maddison will continue in the 8-10 role. I thought he started well at Leicester. Then in the forward line, I think Sonny, of course, will start on the left, even though he's not looked that sharp, but I think we've got to get him into it. Maybe because Sonny's now into his early 30s, realistically, maybe he takes a little bit more time to get up to match sharpness. And I think we will make some chances for him at home against Everton. And you really want your chances to fall to Sonny, don't you? He's the best finisher we've got at the squad at the club. Dominic Solanke will start up front, of course. And I think, and once again, let me know if you think I'm wrong, I think Dejan Kulusevski will come in to play on the right instead of Brennan Johnson, allowing us to then potentially bring Brennan Johnson on late in the game when the match is stretched and Everton are tired and there'll be spaces in behind them. Let me know though if you think Johnson will start ahead of Kulusevski. And of course there is the small matter, and I'll go into this a little bit more, of our new signing Wilson Odobert, but I'll talk about him in a minute. Everton's side will potentially be Jordan Pickford, Holgate, O'Brien, Tarkowski and Mikalenko as the back four. Jack Harrison, Iragbunam and Decore in midfield, with Gay and Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Dwight McNeil. That is the team I predict to start. I don't know anything about Iragbunam, which I think jinx-wise, almost immediately, and of course will mean he'll score against us. But that is the team I expect to start for Everton. In terms of last year's games against the Toffees, I think it's important to try and remember those and see whether we can take any of it into this game and see where we need to improve. We got a 2-1 win against them, but that was a game in which Ben Davies and Emerson Royal both started. We went 1-0 up from Brennan Johnson getting in down the right, a low cross for Richarlison to sweep home. That was during that period of time where Richarlison, I think, scored, 10 in 11 or 11 in 12, and he was really getting to grips with those low crosses and sweeping goals in from those low crosses. The second goal came from a Heung-min Son rebound after Brennan Johnson had his shot parried by Jordan Pickford. If you then remember, Everton had a disallowed goal to make it 2-1, which was Emerson Royal being pickpocketed outside the box by Andre Gomez, who passed it in to Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who shot it across Vicario into the bottom left-hand corner. That was disallowed because VAR deemed, and they sent the referee over to the screen, they deemed that Emerson Royal was fouled by Andre Gomez in the build-up to that. I have to say, that was very lucky for Spurs. I think that was unfairly turned over by VAR. Not long after, though, Andre Gomez himself scored, and this won't surprise you guys. This was from a corner. A corner came in swinging from the right, and Spurs failed to deal with it, and it came all the way to the far post where Gomez swept it in from about 17, 18 yards to Vicario's right. Late on then, Spurs were really hanging on in this game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Vicario had to make a huge save from Danjuma, who got in on the left and hit a left foot shot across Vicario, and he kind of tipped it over with his right hand. Beautiful save from him. And then if you remember, the last kick of the game, we let a cross come in from the right, left-footed, in swinging all the way over to the back post. Danjuma really should score on the volley from 4 yards out, hits the post, and Tottenham got the 3 points by the skin of their teeth. So what are the dangers that we can look out for based on that, how Everton played and how we suffered? Well, as ever, defending set pieces and crosses into the back post. And I have to say, although the set piece defending looked a little bit better against Leicester on Monday night, the goal we conceded was a cross to the back post. And we have got to learn. And this is a familiar pattern again, because I'll talk about the away game where it was a 2-2 draw. Spurs went 1-0 up. Udogie got to the byline, cut it back for Richarlison, who once again swept it in with his left foot, almost on the volley. It was a beautiful finish. Then it was 1-1. This came, as expected, in swinging corner. It was during that period where Guillermo Vicario was really not being protected by his centre halves from corners, and he was blocked off by Jack Harrison. The ball came over his head, headed back across the box from a free Everton player at the back post. Remember that? And headed in from Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Then it went 2-1. Rishi, top corner, first time finish, wasn't it? Do you remember that? Richarlison's best goal for Spurs, actually. Ball given to him from James Maddison outside the box, left-hand side, right-footed into the top right-hand corner as he looked at it. Beautiful from Richarlison, but as ever, corners causing chaos all afternoon. Vicario had to make one outstanding save from a free header from a corner. That was a save with his feet. And then in terms of the Everton equaliser, it was the 94th minute. Late free kick given away on the left-hand side as Everton was shooting. They bend it in, and it's actually flicked on at the near post by Christian Romero as he tries to clear it. And Richarlison, unfortunately, lost Jared Branthwaite at the back post, who heads it in from only about 3 or 4 yards, 2-2. It was very disappointing. And once again, what are the dangers? Defending set pieces, crosses into the back post. If Spurs do not improve on that against Everton, we will not win the game. And we have to improve on that this season. Somebody needs to take responsibility. One thing I saw from Radu Dragusin when he actually played a few games for Spurs last season, he took the responsibility to protect the goalkeeper, and he takes responsibility for the back post a little bit better than Christian Romero does. Now, I'm not suggesting that Dragusin should start instead of Romero or Mickey van der Ven, but we do need to learn that. It's huge. My prediction for the game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium is that I think because Everton are struggling at the back and Spurs looked so good in that first half against Leicester, then a home crowd should be enough to push us on to, I think, maybe a 3-1 win. However, set-piece problems and that inability to mark the back post means I think they will score a late... I think they will score in the game. And actually, I think it's likely that Tottenham will have to get a late third to make it comfortable. I think we'll be 2-1 up, but maybe we have to score a late third when the game gets stretched to make it comfortable. If I was going to predict who the goal scorers would be, I think Solanke will get off the mark. I think Sonny will get off the mark for the season. And it'll be either Deki Kulusevski or Brennan Johnson to score from the right-hand side at some point, with Dominic Calvert-Lewin getting a goal for Everton, realistically from a set piece. My kind of wild card thought for this game: will Wilson Odobert get a place on the bench? And if so, will he get some minutes late on? And whose place will he take on the bench? I've mentioned this a few times. I think likelihood is Ben Davis might lose his place on the bench for Wilson Odobert. Spurs have released a really incredible clip of Odobert in his first or second training session this week on social media. Make sure you check that out. He looks rapid, he looks willing to take players on, and he's got a blistering finish on him as well. A couple of shots from the right hand side that he whipped into the far corner, just put his laces through them. Harry Kane-esque actually. And I don't know, maybe Odobert will get some time off the bench because Everton will play deep and we will maybe need someone to run at them late on in the game. Okay, some more Spurs news. Tottenham have been named the best run club in the Premier League based on many different factors. The survey's been done by Fair Game, and they put Spurs at the top of their list after a comprehensive study across the whole of English football. Daniel Levy, our chairman, said the following: as a club that prides itself on good governance, with a key focus on sustainability, fan engagement and delivering for our local communities, we are delighted to have been recognised as England's best run club by the Fair Game Index. This ranking further demonstrates the huge strides that are being made off the pitch, with our world-class stadium and innovative partnerships enabling sustainable, recurring investment into our football operations to ensure we remain competitive on the pitch and challenge for major honours. We welcome Fair Game's work in highlighting the important role we can all play in operating sustainably to ensure our clubs remain at the heart of our local communities and for fans to enjoy for many generations to come. Adam Davis, who is head of the Fair Game Index, who did this survey, said Spurs are widely regarded as one of the best run football businesses both in England and globally. They score above average in good governance, equality standards and fan and community engagement, and the best in the Premier League for financial sustainability. The research goes beyond this, but one of very few one of very few clubs who are profitable. They do score very well in all the sub-pillars that make them a very well-rounded organisation. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this. I can totally see a number of you and how a number of you would get very frustrated by this, because I think Daniel Levy is having a little sly dig there at a lot of the clubs who are not being run sustainably and who are, you know, clubs like Chelsea and Manchester City, who are being charged by the Premier League for financial fair play issues, but also the likes of Nottingham Forest, who are getting, and maybe even Leicester, who are getting points deductions. Newcastle were close to one last year as well. A little sly dig from Daniel Levy there, and I can see how a number of you would say, I don't care about things like the fair play index, I just want us to win on the pitch. And I don't like the sound of Daniel Levy suggesting that being run sustainably is giving us our best chance of winning on the pitch. I totally understand that. It's not my viewpoint. Personally, I actually think Tottenham are run the correct way, and although I want us to win everything, of course I do, I think our best chance to do that is by being a well-run club who do not get themselves into financial difficulties. However, let me know how you think about it in the comments, and I'll try and reply to all of you. Guys, before I go on to the more wider ranging transfer news from the Premier League, please do once again press that like button. Really helps get more people to see this video, and also please do subscribe, and if you're already a subscriber, please do let me know, let friends and family know if they are Spurs fans or like to know about Premier League transfer news during this window, so that they can come and subscribe again and become a member. Only £1 a month. All the details in the description box below. Starting off at Old Trafford, Man United have been offered the chance to sign Ben Chilwell by Chelsea. I actually predicted this earlier this week. I can't see Man United having Luke Shaw and Ben Chilwell on their books, although they are both very injury prone, so maybe it could work. But the 27-year-old Chelsea and England left-back Ben Chilwell was told by Enzo Maresca that he is literally not in his plans. Meanwhile, over at Liverpool, Liverpool will somehow receive £20 million plus £5 million in add-ons for Sepp van der Berg. A green light has been given to both Brentford and Bayer Leverkusen. The Dutch defender will decide between the two clubs after speaking to Xabi Alonso and Thomas Frank. Well, if I'm Van der Berg, who I know very little about, so I'm not sure why he's getting £25 million spent on him, I would go to Bayer Leverkusen, because they, under Xabi Alonso, are doing great things. Meanwhile, as I'm sure you've heard, Ilkay Gundogan is going back to Manchester City. That is a here we go, or a there we land, depending on which transfer guru you like to listen to. He will join on a 1-year contract. Pep Guardiola said yes, and Barcelona will not receive a fee. Meanwhile, back to Chelsea, Enzo Maresca said about Raheem Sterling the following: I've been honest, he will have no minutes here. I'm not saying Raheem is not a good player, but I prefer different kinds of wingers. It's simple. Sterling wants to remain in the Premier League after being told he has no future at Chelsea. Would you take him at your club? Would you take him at Spurs on loan? I don't think so. I think his wages are too high and he's not really relevant to the transfer strategy. But where can you see Raheem Sterling ending up? What a story. Chelsea, just such a laughing stock. And more from Chelsea on that. Conor Gallagher, who has now signed for Atletico Madrid, wrote an open letter to their fans. I'll just give you a little taste of that. He says, "To everyone at Chelsea, thank you for making my dreams come true. It's been an absolute honour every time I put on the shirt, and it was a dream come true to captain the team on many occasions." Once again, Chelsea just letting go of the blood of their club. It's complete madness. And Maresca, in fact, relevant to that, said, the manager said, "I'm not working with 42 players. This is regarding everyone just laughing at how many first-team squad players they have. I'm working with 21 players. The other 15 to 20 players are training apart. I don't see them. It's not a mess like it looks from the outside. Absolutely not. They can have 20 years contract. I don't care. It's not up to me." Well, if that doesn't sound like a mess, I don't know what does. And Mauricio Pochettino was a smart man to get out of there. Meanwhile, Brighton, over at Brighton, Napoli are sending a director to England to continue transfer talks for Billy Gilmour from Brighton and Chelsea striker Romelu Lukaku, as well as Man United's Scottish midfielder Scott McTominay. So, Antonio Conte at Napoli looking to get all these British-based players in. Meanwhile, West Ham want to sign 27-year-old Spanish midfielder Carlos Soler from Paris Saint-Germain, but they must sell players before they buy. They bought a lot of players this summer. And finally, Nottingham Forest over at South London with Arsenal. Nottingham Forest are finally close to agreeing a deal for Eddie Nketiah. Okay, guys, thanks again for watching and listening. Please do press that like button, press subscribe, and press the bell button to make sure you know when all your daily content from me comes in. And if you want to become a member, only £1 a month. All the details in the description box below. Have a great rest of your Thursday. Cheers.